what, in your experience in paying the salesman, uh, has your experience been to that they're 100% commission? Is it base plus? What other benefits may be offered along with that?
Sure.
How has that typically functioned in your experience?
So I think that the best answer I can give you is weaker companies tend to offer a salary because they're desperate for salespeople and they just want to keep them even if they're not turning in that much. But the problem with that is if these guys are making even just $30,000 a year and not doing a goddamn thing, they're not really going out and they're not very hungry, right? So you want to avoid the environment of captive lions, and you guys are zookeepers and they sit in their cage and they lay on their belly and you guys twice a day deliver them a steak, so they don't really have to get up and hunt if they don't want to. That's kind of what happens with sales guys when we're just paying them a base, even if it's not that much. What I've found would probably be the closest thing to doing that is paid inspection. So like every inspection they complete, they get paid on whether they sign or not, whether there's damage or not, something like that. Or a draw towards signed contracts. So if they go out and they get a contract signed, you know their commission is going to be, let's say, $1,500, give or take. You maybe give them $500 for each one that they sign up front, and that takes a draw against their commission. But the thing with salesmen is, like, you eat what you kill. And if you have a team that's getting paid for just being around, well, that's a prostitute. That's not a salesman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, professional visitors. That's what we call it.
Exactly. Like, and I even have a video out there on YouTube. It's pretty old now, but it was like, don't pay your salesmen like prostitutes. You're not paying them for their company. Like, I'm sure they're cool guys, but they're not worth you paying, $30,000, $40,000 a year just to hang out at the office and turn in a job here and there when one falls in their lap, So I really recommend an aggressive bonus style incentivized commission structure to where, like, monthly they have a chance to hit bonus land. So for example, maybe they're making 30% off of the profit, but if they turn in over 6 jobs for the month, now they make 50% for that month, for the whole month. So that kind of keeps them hungry. It's like, all right, how can I get another job in? Because now I'm making 20% more on all these jobs. That's a pretty significant difference. And that's what they used to do to us in Cutco. So I don't know how familiar you are with my background, but before I ever got into selling roofs, I sold Cutco knives, and they have like if you start off and it's at like, I don't even really remember now, let's just say it's 10% for your first $1,000, and then it's 20%, 30%. So then you get up to something FSM, which was Field Sales Manager, and that was after you sold, I want to say, $10,000 in knives, and you were at 30%, but if you sold over $3,000 for the month, you made 50%. So you bet your ass I was making sure I was hitting over $3,000 every single month, because that made a huge difference, right? So same kind of thing with, that's obviously like a college kid knife sales example, but if you can do the same type of a thing with your roof salesman, you'll see a lot better consistent performance and momentum, which I think is what you guys want to see.
The commission thing too, I just wanted to ask that question on the 30% to 50% and bonus structure, which I think I like that. But do you see that pretty much? Is that kind of a more common way? So we have 2 chains of thought here. One is like a percentage of the gross, like let's say it's a $12,000 job, pay 7.8 or 7%, whatever that number is, 8%. And the other way is, look at the profit after all the expenses. And, I saw you had Cutco knives on one of your examples. That was nice. In your little diamond book. That's awesome.
Yeah.
$1,400. But yeah, and, just doing like a 30% to a 50% spread, how do you decide what, you already covered that basically, that you have but what have you seen out there? Which works better? Is there any kind of discussion on that?
I can't necessarily, everybody does something a little bit different. Like, most people are either doing exactly what you just said, a percentage of the gross or percentage of the profit. People that don't want to deal with it and get crazy just do a flat rate. But the problem with that is you get people that just kind of get stagnant. Like, where's the carrot? You have to have a carrot, like, dangling at all times. I personally like what I described earlier, which is you want to pay your guys well, right? But you also want to leave room to be able to motivate them to do more and to be able to sell consistently. Because if somebody's making flat 50% and they work their ass off for the first 4 months of the year and they sell, let's say they get a big one in there, they get a church, and then they get a couple other really good jobs, and they've made quite a bit of money, well, now they're probably only going to turn in 1 or 2 jobs a month moving forward, and they don't really care because there's not a whole lot of incentive to do otherwise. Whereas most people, when they see like, I'm so close, I could be making almost double what I'm making this month if I just sell 2 more jobs, that's going to really inspire the average person to get up and get back out there. So I really like a bonus land type incentivized commission structure that's monthly, to where, you know, in retail sales, maybe the numbers are a little bit more skewed because it's cash bids. But, you know, what I teach in storm restoration is my recommendation is, listen, if you can get 6 jobs a month and you get 6 or more, or you get over 6, I can't remember exactly what I put on there now. You can make it whatever you want, but then you're in bonus land and you make 50% instead of 30, right? Or you make 50% instead of 25 or whatever. And so maybe for I don't know what the average person sells in retail. You guys might be able to tell me that better, but maybe the average person in retail is only selling 3 roofs a month or something, right? And so it's like, all right, well, if you guys sell your 3 a month, you make 30%. But if you sell 4 or more, you make 50%. That's going to kind of keep them out there because 50% is almost double what they would be making, right? So it's like, put a little bit more effort out there, get 1 more job, and you'll make twice as much money.
Yeah, I mean, that's when the overhead's covered and all the trucks are bought and all the transmissions are paid for, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
that's a good thing. So, you know, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's a great way to incentivize. And so, what other questions do you have for her? Adam, do you have any? I mean, your responses are, I feel like I'm back at sales school. I appreciate it.
That's really good. I think that in the past, we've had a very good, well, in my own mind, yeah, that we had a good sales structure and a bonus structure and incentives.
Yeah.
But if we only pay the commissions once a month, and so that seemed to really hinder. The guys never really knew when they walked up to a house, like, okay, I can make $1,500 right now.
Right.
You know, they'd have to wait till commission day or whatever, and so I think that really sucked the incentive out of what they were trying to do too. And
well, yeah.
we just haven't had a good sales training and sales process and system.
Right.
And just we've had guys that for a week would just be brilliant and then just sit on their butts for
right.
a month,
Right.
So
well, and the other thing that's lacking, like when I think back to when I was performing at Cutco and when I was selling roofs, what kept me going? Well, 1, money, absolutely. I mean, I loved seeing my big fat commission checks every 2 weeks. That's like, wow, I made 20 grand in the last 2 weeks. Holy shit. That used to make me really excited. But the other thing was recognition. Like, are you guys doing a good job every single week pumping your team up? And I don't mean having like a douchey sales meeting that most companies are doing where there's really no value and we're not giving them something else to go out there and be, light a fire under their butts with. Recognition. I used to get recognized on the board. They'd have my sales note. Everybody's, of course, not just me, but I'd get to see my name up there and how much I was selling. And I was like, damn, I am the #1 salesperson again, And if somebody beat me that week, I was like, shit, I better go out there. There are different things that motivate other people too. So we have to make sure that the money is motivating by keeping it in front of their face once a month. I don't think that's enough at all. I would at least be doing every 2 weeks, and I would be keeping track on the board in front of everyone. at the sales meeting once a week, you get to see everybody's sales, the number of deals they're turning in and the revenue number that they're turning in, right? And every single week, we're recognizing them for that. And then every single week, we're also doing a sales training. Here's what most companies are lacking. Their sales meeting is something like this. Everybody gets in there. Most people are late. Nobody wants to be there. They're like falling asleep. Okay. And then the owner's like, all right, guys, look alive. I want to say great job to Tim. Tim finally turned in that one job he'd been working on. It's a pretty good one. It's 30 squares. Everybody, round of applause for Tim. And it's like, great, Tim. And they're like, all right, guys, so there's an area of the neighborhood we really want to work on over here. We haven't really been hitting that. And then you'll talk about production. And you're like, we really, guys, if you have special notes on your reports, you have to have those turned in by Friday or we don't get them to the crew in time. And we're causing trouble, blah, blah, blah. And then you're trying to get them amped up. It's a shit sales meeting. Most of it, we're just talking about things that are going on in the office. People leave with no value. They're not motivated. They don't feel like they've been recognized, and they just want to go home. So what we need to be doing is a lot of recognition, driving some competition, rewarding people for what they're doing. Let's celebrate commission checks in front of everybody, and you should be teaching them at least one new tactical thing that they can leave with that week. So let's say it's the referral approach. So this week, you guys put it up on the screen, you play my training video, they get to listen to it, you print off the script, everybody gets one. They sit there, you make them role play back and forth, you put them in the hot seat with it, and then you say, okay guys, by next Saturday when we have our next sales meeting, we're running a contest. So whoever has the most names and numbers of referrals gets a $100 gas card when you come in. So now, and every single week, we're doing something like that. So maybe the following week, you're handling a specific objection of, my husband already looked at it. Thanks, we think we're fine. Or whatever. Or can you guys just like drop off a bid? So we're teaching them every single week something that's going to get them inspired, that's solving a problem for them. And we're celebrating their success. And we're showing them what's possible by celebrating other people's success. So when Tim is sitting next to Brad, and Brad turned in 50 grand this month, and Tim turned in 8, Tim's like, oh, wow, I really need to step it up. And then Brad is like, I am a badass. I'm going to turn in 50 next month too. Right?
Get away from the coffee, Brad. Coffee's for closers.
Brad, well, Tim, get out of here, Tim. Right? So that's all part of it. Like, and again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but all of this, do you see how all of the little moving pieces are affecting each other? Brad's affecting Tim, Tim's affecting Brad, you're affecting everybody by sharing what everybody as an individual is doing. There's motivation happening, there's Incentivize happening. So now, to revert back to what we talked about at the beginning of this call, it is not just about finding the right people, it's about creating the environment that develops and drives a culture of performance.
Right.
It's crucial. So it's all moving together. It's the recruiting method is important. Yes, you want to find good people, quote unquote, but good people really just means people who can look someone in the eye and want to make money. Because if you give them the right training, they can do that. And then we need to train everybody so that no matter who they are and if they have zero experience whatsoever, doesn't matter. We have good training. We put them out there. They can do the job. They have belief that they can do it. They feel confident. They're competent, and they can get good results at that. And then after that, it's constantly keeping the team in shape. Sales meetings, training, ongoing training, motivating them. That's your job. This is a sales organization. It's not a roofing company.